Well, howdy, folks. Dave Man here again, Rollman Revolution. Now, I have been doing my best to try to steer away from talking left-right politics. And the reason why I'm trying to stay away from that is because I'm not trying to isolate anybody, especially for those who put themselves in a category known as Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Socialist, Communist. Whatever your descriptive term is, I'm not trying to isolate those people. I'm not. And the reason why I'm not trying to isolate anybody at this point is because majority, not everybody, but majority of Americans do not spend enough time in the tank paying attention to the everyday occurrences in the civic matters or international geopolitics as I do and as many other people who are interested in this topic. And like I say, I'm not necessarily interested in this, but I cannot stand liars. And you've heard me say this multiple times on this channel. Liars bother me more than anything else. Simply because progress stops and everything gets fucked up when you have somebody who is a nonstop, pathological, everyday occurrent liar. We have too many of these people today leading the charge in this country, and I'm sick of it. I am fucking done with the left-right politics in this country that never goes anywhere. Why? Because it's not designed to, my friends. It's not designed to give you this idea that, oh, being a Republican or a conservative is better. Or, no, I should be a liberal or I should be a Democrat. If you are still identifying with Republican or Democrat, you are so late to the game. You have no idea what really is going on. And let me explain to you why. In this country, if I was to go up to you right now, or go up to 1,000 different people and ask them, give me a definition of what a Republican is. Switching gears, go up to any person in America and ask, please identify what a Democrat is. Give me a definition. How am I supposed to know what defines a Democrat or defines a Republican if I don't have a real clear definition? And here's the thing. Your grandma's Democrat Party or your grandfather's Republican Party do not exist anymore. They are exactly the same thing. It's organized crime. You have the Gambinos, which are the Democrats, and you have the Genoveses, which are the Republicans. And they're constantly battling with each other. And they make it look good for you. They make it look good on paper. They keep trying to set the stage in a way to make it seem as if they're not getting along with each other. And there's push and pull, and there's a tug of war constantly going back and forth. But if you notice, at the end of the day, all of the things that really matter for America First principles gets pushed aside. They don't care. They can't be bothered by it. Why? Because they're part of the same organized mafia. So if you are a person who considers yourself a Republican or a Democrat, I'm asking you to do me just one favor. Find out what that means. Find out really what it is you believe. Because as you know on this channel, the one thing I constantly stress upon is if you don't know what you believe or why you believe it or how you've come to those conclusions, you are a complete mess. You can never navigate this world if you don't understand how you've come to the decisions or the conclusions that you have if you've never really thought about it. And most Americans haven't. My father was a Democrat, so therefore I'm a Democrat. My mother was a Republican, so therefore I'm a Republican. What does that mean? Please, somebody tell me, what does that mean? Because as far as I can see, we are now at the bottom. Most of us, majority of Americans, are sucking off the teat of the American government, trying, please, praying, please, do the right thing. Meanwhile, everybody's yelling, oh, it's the Republicans that are doing the right thing. And there's another group of saying, oh, no, it's the Democrats, so they're right. I'm telling you, if you're using these terms still, and if you're thinking in these terms, you are going to keep losing. And that's exactly what they want us to do, is to keep losing. They want you and me fighting over these divisions that they have created, the ideas that they have pushed in your head, the thoughts that you think you have may not actually be yours. The reason why I'm speaking about this is that there is this war happening. It's a secret war. Now, they got us paying attention to Israel, and then they got us paying attention to the Ukraine battle, and they got us paying attention to tariffs and the CCP, and all these things on the grand scale are important. But we're forgetting the base issue here. America first. Are you America first or are you not? Do you put the interests of American families and American citizens first? Or do you not? This is where we are in this stage of the game. We have people like Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, Nicholas J. Fuentes, and Mark Levin, Dave Smith. There's so many new names, and there are so many old names that are in the political sphere today. The mainstream media is just a talking mouth of shit. Nobody's really listening to that anymore, thank God. But the thing is that you have an alternative pull that has now graced the airways of the internet, that has basically stolen majority of what mainstream used to have control over. However, you can see that now there is a intense focus online with censorship and controlled speech, trying to get this division that I keep talking about between Republican and Democrat even more defined. Ever since the death of Charlie Kirk, you know what they basically wanted us to do was to make this into a left-right issue. It's all about these radical leftists that are killing people. It's not about the fact that this was a professional hit, controlled environment, in which it was scaped out months in advance. You could see the precision involved. Everything that day for Charlie Kirk's assassination. Everybody had to fuck up all at once, just like 9/11, in order for it to carry out the way that it did. And you have only a handful of people online that are even talking about that. Majority of mainstream and even alternative media have moved on with the Charlie Kirk thing. Can't talk about this. But what I'm asking people now to think about, and really think about things. So Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Why? Why kill Charlie Kirk? He was just talking to kids on campus. He was talking to kids on campus for over 10 years. So why? Why all of a sudden is Charlie Kirk assassinated? What changed in Charlie Kirk over the past 6 months, a year, that would cause somebody, a trans person, to go out and shoot him? Now, I know everybody said, well, Charlie Kirk is a based human being. He's a Christian, and he believes in Christian and principles and values, and that's why the left and this radical group of trans activists were the ones that got involved and killed him. Really? Really? That's what we're going to sell to the American people? That a 21-year-old kid who doesn't look like a person who goes hunting or firing rifles and the whole Charlie Kirk thing is a complete and utter. It's so in your face today. The whole thing is right in your face. I just did a video about a psyop, talking specifically about this issue and how you can tell it's a psyop. But the greater picture here is the topic for which Americans are not allowed to talk. The divisions that have continued to keep happening in this country are all designed to draw your attention away from the bottom line, the deep root cause, the Achilles heel, the common denominator that is plaguing the interests of this nation, and why American citizens, American families, and Americans in general are just dying, failing, losing it all. You don't have a government apparatchik that actually gives a shit about its people. Majority of the representation that you see in Washington, D.C. has been bought and paid for by outside interest groups, forcing these individuals, well, not necessarily forcing them, paying these individuals to speak and to refer to things in a certain manner. And that is where the American system is dying. Now, you only have a handful of people out there that are really digging into the deep root causes of this. And I'm going to bring Nicholas J. Fuentes up again. You're damn right I am. Look, I only discovered who Nick Fuentes was over the last few years because he had been canceled for a very long time. And, of course, I am not one of those people that go digging that far into the canceling section. But I had heard of him. And the reason I heard of him through snippets and sound bites. And all of the snippets and sound bites for which I had heard were not good. But when you listen to people in long form and you actually let their ideas roll out in front of you, you actually get to see how that person thinks and why they think that way. And I suggest every American do the exact same thing, because if you are a Democrat and you're a Republican in this country right now, and you're fighting against the opposition, whether you're a Democrat, you're fighting the Republicans. If you're a Republican, you're fighting the Democrats, right? And you're told in your little groups of people, your families, the immediate friends that you hang out with, whatever your social group is, that this is the right way to do things. And if you're a friend in that group, usually you'll not say anything, especially if the group thinks one way or another, or you'll just go along with it. And most of Americans do the exact same thing because they don't want any pushback. They don't want to create any pressure. I'm just like you too. I don't want to cause issues with other people, because 99% of the people that go to the voting booth every single day, the Democrat or the Republican standing next to you in that voting booth is closer to your everyday life than the person you are voting for in that booth. But yet you can't see that. Why is it that Americans cannot see that they are being played the fool? The whole idea is to keep that division going, to keep throwing whatever to the wall they can that'll stick and hope it sticks. That's the game being waged against you. But yet, what do we do? Well, we sit here and we argue. We point fingers. We label people. We say, don't listen to this person or don't listen to that person because of why. He's an anti-Semite. He's a Jew hater. He's a anti-American. He loves this person. He loves Hitler. He's Hitler-like. How many times have you heard media or people who are in disagreement with another person use those labels to slap onto somebody? All the time. This is happening right now in the online spheres, designed to break MAGA, Make America Great Again, right? Which was underneath the umbrella of America First, right? But as you can see, the administration, who I voted for, Trump, they're doing the best they can, but you can see that there is a outside influence, mainly Israel's influence, that meddles within the affairs of government policy and leadership every single day. Look, it's not my opinion, but when you have representatives and senators coming out saying that 90% of the people in Washington, D.C. are compromised, what does that say? They're compromised. How are they compromised? Well, how can you as an individual be America First if you have an outside group paying you millions of dollars to speak a certain way about an outside influence? Israel, regardless of whether or not this video gets banned, shadowed, gets dumped, or I get canceled, I don't care anymore. I am so sick and tired of watching people, especially young people, who are based. They actually understand the issues that I didn't even understand when I was young. They're being able to articulate it out very, very well. And you know what? There is this online feud going on right now. The Ben Shapiros of the world, Megyn Kelly's, Tucker Carlson's, Mark Levin's, this whole online apparatchiks that are battling really difficultly with just one voice. One person who has got the ears of the future generation. And that's why they're fucking scared. And they should be scared. Nicholas J. Fuentes, whether you agree with him or not, okay, has said some things in his past that if you were to snip it and soundbite them, sure, could come off a little uncomfortable. But again, these are just words. I am blown away by how many adult human beings in this country are just a bunch of whiny pussies. Did you ever hear of the old thing, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt me? Do you remember that when you were a kid? It's so funny how everybody, well, because Nick Fuentes goes out and he uses the word nigga, or he says the word Jew, or you got to listen to it in the context. Most of the time, he's making a point. Sometimes he's being very bombastic and obviously a little bit more, what's that word? A little more edgy, I guess is the word. But the whole idea is to get people to pay attention. Here's the fire. Look at this. Because in a world that's so fucking noisy, how is it you're going to get your voice or your message across? Consistent repetition and using the receipts to back up your claims. What has Nick Fuentes done for the last 10 years? He has gone on his show, and now I'm kind of backtracking quite a bit because I have to get caught up on a lot of the things he says, because as Ben Shapiro, Ben the cuck of Israel Shapiro, goes on all of these shows talking negative smack about Nick Fuentes, when all Nick is really doing is trying to put this country first, American citizens first, putting the interest of America before the interest of Israel or Ukraine or any other country that the United States has been funding and paying money to kill people for the last 20 years. America first means you're putting American citizens first. And I find that just completely fascinating, how the people who are literally trying to destroy Nick Fuentes, and in many cases tried to cancel him for years and did so successfully, but now that people are starting to see that what he had been saying for those many, many years is coming to fruition. It's right in the public domain now. Israel has had a stranglehold over America for decades and decades and decades now. And I will be the one first to say that it goes back even long before World War I. Go back to the inception of the Federal Reserve System, and you can see where the managed decline started to begin. Because once you control a nation's monetary system and you control the money, you can bribe and give money to whomever you want to. You can control the flow of where information goes. You can get a handle on the education system. You can get a handle on what people believe to be true. And they did so for years. It wasn't until the internet where actually people could go around these institutions, where you didn't have to go to the media, the mainstream media, or to the education system to get your basic information. No, you can actually talk to people in the field living in those problems by going around through the internet. And what the internet did was started connecting people and started getting people to see things that were completely shadowed here in America. And as you can see now, Benjamin Netanyahu and this Trump government are working kind of together to make sure that this quote-unquote anti-Semitism shit is manipulated and shadowed through the entire network online. Larry Ellison buys TikTok. He controls CBS. He puts a Jewish person in charge of the media control there. What's her name? Barry Weiss. The whole thing is completely and utterly obvious, but everybody's just passing off like it's no big deal. TikTok now censors anybody who says anything slightly, against Israel. It'll suppress those videos. Whatever happened to free speech and actually the market of ideas, where we're actually sitting down and talking to one another? Because I think it's funny how people like Ben Shapiro, who are supposedly so smart about what America is and American interest is and about how this country should be, and he claims to be this whole America first guy, as he wears his Jewish yarmulke all the time and has no problems telling you how much he supports Israel. You don't hear him talking about how much he supports America and the American citizens because he doesn't give a fuck about you. That's the reality. It's the same reasons why when Candace Owens started questioning some of the things that Israel was doing, why Ben Shapiro just fired her. And it's the same reason why Matt Walsh, who's one of the other big names on the Daily Wire, is basically, unfortunately, a cuck to Ben Shapiro. He has to lick Ben Shapiro's ass, otherwise he could lose his job too for talking out against Israel. You can see the ones that are holding the puppet strings and trying to suppress conversation or ideas simply because they don't want you talking about Israel. Now, let me ask you a question. History has shown us that when usually you cannot talk about a specific group or a specific person, it's usually that group or person who is oppressing you. Now, I find it funny that if I was to go online right now, and I can guarantee you that if this video was to go viral, that a lot of the comments would be, you're an anti-Semite, you're in this, you're in that, you're an ignorant, any negative slur you could put on somebody is what you will do. And I am none of those things. I am just a lucid American citizen who's looking at the things, looking at the situation for the way that it is, much like many other people. But I'm willing to call it out. I'm willing to say exactly what Nick is saying, and he's absolutely right. He is 100% right, because you can see this level of control happening in real time right now. Look, I'm sure President Trump is frustrated. I would be frustrated too. When you're trying to make America first and you ran on a platform of America first, but yet, unfortunately, Israel controls the government. They have their fingers wedged so far up into American politics. Like I said, 90% of the people in Washington, D.C. who make decisions are owned and controlled by these people. The only reason they get elected is because of outside influence money. The only reason they get good press and people aren't writing hit pieces about them is because they're towing the line. Let me be clear here. You're going to see a huge manifestation in this country with truth very, very soon. You're going to see, when I say you're going to see this manifestation, the ones that have been talking truth, like Nick Fuentes, whether you agree with his approach or not, and like I said, you got to understand, this kid is 26 years old, 26, 27 years old. A lot of the stuff that they are using to ambush this young man is taken from when he was 19, 20, 21. When he slowly started going up and started talking about this stuff. Do you know how many stupid things that I have said out of context, not thinking that they would come back to haunt me, I have said in my lifetime? It's not so much that I didn't believe what I was saying. It's just how it came out at the time. And if you understand really the gravity of context, like what somebody is thinking and how they're feeling in a certain moment, we all say things that may not come out as very polished as everybody would like them to be. But that doesn't mean that they're wrong. That doesn't mean that what Nick has been saying for the last 10, 15 years, 10 years, sorry, it's not that old, 10 years is incorrect. And I think that, and I believe, and it's actually, you can see with the way that the Groypers and the way that his channel is starting to pick up, that his audience agrees, and there are many more coming on board because they agree as well. We're all seeing it. We're like all in this big fucking room right now, and we're seeing the manipulation happen. We're seeing the Jewish hand go right up Bernie Sanders' ass and nodding his head right in front of us. We're actually seeing it. And yet, we're all expected to look the other way. For decades, we were all expected to look the other way, and we did. And now we are at a crux in American history. We're juggling these games. Look, President Trump, whether you like him or not, is only going to be in office for 3 years. He's probably the most effective president I have seen in my lifetime. But that does not dismiss or excuse the fact that Israel is actually manipulating us. And until we have a leadership, an administration that is willing to rip that shit out permanently and send them on their fucking way, including people like Ben Shapiro, Seth Dillon, Mark Levin. Hey, guys, if you love Israel so goddamn much, there's a fucking oasis that's been sitting there. You guys been killing everybody for, 20-something plus years, blowing the crap. It's all for you. Go there. You love it so much. Go there. That's your place. Get the fuck out of here, because we don't want you here anymore. I don't need people like Ben Shapiro lecturing me about a foreign country that doesn't fucking serve us, is not really an ally to us, and all it does is create more problems and more expense for the American taxpayer. We go and fight your wars, we go and pay for your wars, and then we have to put on ourselves the justification of you massacring millions of Gazian people, Palestinian people. Look, I didn't sign on for that, and I don't want my American name or my name in general being signed off of that. But yet, this government has no problem dropping bombs or allowing this madness to go on. Explain to me. I want anyone to explain to me. And stop this shit. Oh, it's the Muslim Brotherhood and it's this and that. Look, I'm not saying that these radical groups don't exist. I agree. They do exist. But 20 fucking years we've been in war. What is Israel doing? They're literally ethnically cleansing the entire state of people. Just look at the exchange of hostages. Look at the condition the hostages of Israel, the Jewish hostages, and then look at the condition of the Palestinian hostages. They tortured them. Israel tortured these people. And they say, well, we're justified because of October 7th. Well, I remember 9/11 very, very, very clearly. I studied it very, very. I spent probably 10 years digging into everything you could possibly look at as it related to 9/11, and I still come to the same exact conclusion. 9/11 was not done by Muslim extremists. No, it was done by an internal operation very similar to what happened with Charlie Kirk, where you can see a controlled situation planned way in advance, all designed to draw the American people into an overseas war that would last decades. And what did Benjamin Netanyahu do on October 7th? He gave them a pretext. And he said, oh, no, you're going to say Benjamin Netanyahu caused October 7th. No, I'm not saying he caused October 7th. But he definitely could say, you know what, let October 7th happen. Just let it happen. If you go to Israel, every so many feet there's an Israeli soldier. The IDF is everywhere. The whole country is surveilled. You can't go anywhere without seeing one of these people. But yet, on October 7th, just like on 9/11, everybody decided to fucking quit and not do their job at the exact same time. Everything had to fail at the exact same time. Isn't that coincidental? A country that's always on the brink of shit could happen at any moment, always telling Americans, warning us, hey, if you don't do this, it's going to end up on your doorstep really, really soon. The only way that this terroristic bullshit is going to end up on our doorstep is if we create a false flag by the country who's starting all this shit in the first place. That's the reality. That's the reality, and nobody wants to hear it. Nobody wants to say it. Nobody wants to look at it for what it really is. I'm sorry. October 7th, a lot of people died. I'm not saying that a lot of people didn't die and innocent people in Israel died. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that they let it happen. Why? Because by letting that happen and letting everybody's emotional heartstrings get caught around the psyop that they've created, it gives Israel a pretext to destroy whatever they want to. Because look what these animals did. See, that's what they sold us. Look what these animals did. Look what the Muslim Brotherhood, look what Hamas did. Look what they did. They massacred all these people. But yet you let it happen. So if you let it happen, and it costs, isn't it on you? You didn't do your job to protect your people. Yeah, those are bad guys. I agree, and they should be dealt with. But you don't massacre hundreds of thousands of people because you had 20 bad apples or 100 bad apples. Because majority of the Palestinian people don't have anything to do with this, but Israel doesn't give a shit. They don't care. They would rather just, if they could push a button tomorrow and said, we're going to wipe out every Palestinian in that region, majority of people in Israel would press it. Why? Because they've been told their entire life that the Palestinians hate them. They've been told so much bullshit in their own country, just like we have been told here in our own country. So much bullshit surrounding this whole Israel topic. You can't even speak about it. This video that I have here, I guarantee you will get the minimal amount of views. Why? Because I mentioned the buzzword too many times. You're not allowed to talk about this, Dave. You're in America. You're not allowed to talk about Israel, a foreign country, our ally. Now, why would that be? Oh, that's right. Like I said a moment ago, when you can't talk about somebody, it's usually that country or thing that's oppressing you. They own the media. You can see that. They own the government. And they're really connected into all these NGOs and nonprofits. And you can see what's happening at Turning Point. They're all controlled. The reason why Charlie Kirk got shot, I'm sorry, maybe breaking news to some people, but the reason he got shot was because he was starting to agree with the likes of Nick Fuentes. The same Nick Fuentes that Tucker, Megyn Kelly, Ben Shapiro are all trying to like dance around. They're afraid to lock arms with him because of the things that he has said. Now, granted, just because somebody has said something and you can agree with him on certain things doesn't mean you have to agree on everything that a person says. Nick is an adult man. He can hold up to his own end of the bargain. If he says something, he can either stand on it or say, look, it was taken out of context, or I probably should have used some better words. But that's on him. But you can't say because Tucker interviewed Nick Fuentes that means that Tucker is also this. That's just the stupidest freaking logic I've ever heard in my life. The reason why this battle is happening, this invisible war that I'm talking about, they want us to think it's about Republican and Democrat, left versus right, all of this kind of shit. But it has nothing at all to do with any of that. It's literally to keep you and I distracted, you and I arguing, you and I chasing after a fucking bone that doesn't exist. So we don't talk about the real problem, the real issue, the real reason why America is sinking and we're not getting any better, and why American families are suffering. It's very, very hard to reinvest in the American people when you're reinvesting all your money elsewhere. This government and its many, many arms, institutions are all controlled by the embeds of this outside influence. And anybody who tries to stand up and say, bullshit, well, you can either get shot or murdered or assassinated, depending upon how big your voice is. They'll cancel you. They'll debank you. They'll try to find ways to just fuck your life up and make it a living hell. All because you are calling out something that's very apparent. They're not even hiding it anymore. It's in plain sight. It's the 5,000-ton elephant in the room. You're calling it out. And it's just because you've noticed it and you made it an issue that they will try to destroy you. I am so up to here, done with this shit. When I say I am done with this shit, all you're doing, alternative right, this woke right, these hidden battles, all of this conversation that you guys are having now, it's all bullshit. Lies on top of lies on top of lies. Just smack down the lie sandwich. They just love it. Nick Fuentes is over the target. He's identified the real problems. And that becomes a real problem for those who have been defending and being cucks for that nation in America for years. No. You're either America first or get the fuck out. That's where I stand. It's not about right and left anymore. It's America first or get out. I'll talk with you soon. Peace.